My research is in the field of EU law and politics. My most recent research was looking at questions of sanctions, and I'm particularly interested in how the EU engages with countries that are not members of the EU and how it's sought to align those countries with the sanctions that the EU has put in place, in particular vis-à-vis Russia. Sanctions are very topical at the moment, and they have become a go-to mechanism, not just for the EU, but in international relations generally. So it's very important that we understand the way in which sanctions work. There are lots of very important related questions about their effectiveness, but it is important to work out how international coordination works. In terms of impact, I've presented my research and its findings at Parliament in Canada, and I've also contributed to calls for evidence here in the UK. In a recent article published in European Security with Dr. Erica Murray, we looked at the sanctions that the EU has put in place over a long period of time since 2007, and we looked at the extent to which the EU has invited third countries, so countries which are not member states of the EU, to align their own legal and policy systems with those of the EU. And we looked at those rates and how they change over time and according to the country in question. And we found that generally there is a rather high rate of alignment, although it does vary from state to state and not always for the same reasons. Recently, the enlargement process of the EU has also been in the news because there are a number of countries in Central and Eastern Europe who are applying for membership of the EU, and we saw that the green light or an amber light has been given to certain countries, including Ukraine, Moldova, and Bosnia-Herzegovina and Albania, to move forward in that process. What was interesting was that the alignment foreign policy, including sanctions, was very much the headline of how ready each of these member states is or not to potentially join the EU in the future. And my research informs this process by providing the evidence to which, over a longer period, each of these states has aligned with EU foreign policy and sanctions.